was very stimulating. Not yet. Quite stimulating, wouldn't you say? Come in, Alexander. No. Not yet. Alexander. Not yet. Quite stimulating, wouldn't you say? It was very stimulating. Not yet. Alexander. No. Alexander. It was very stimulating. Quite stimulating, wouldn't you say? Not yet. Alexander. Not yet. Not yet. It was very stimulating.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live in Technicolor from the beautiful Hollywood Hills, California. The show where the total retail price of their advice is $0. This is Timelines Talk. Featuring guest stars, Worf action figure collector Kapla, It Stars and Garden. Also featuring Joey, have you ever been in a Turkish prison? Look out, it's Automaton 2000! And now, the man with the chatter, he doesn't have a bladder. Here's your host, Captain Idol!
Yes, welcome ladies and gentlemen to another edition of Timelines Talks, your 100% all-natural exclusive show devoted to all things Star Trek timelines and other Star Trek stuff, because honestly, this week is not much to talk about, but we're still here. Yes, thank you, Auto and Stars, you've joined us, a normal gentleman. How are you? And thank you, Robert Kaiser in chat. Robert Kaiser in chat? Oh, this is going well already, isn't it? Robert Kaiser in chat.
Christ.
Jolan True, hello, Peldor Joy. To you too.
Kapla.
Yeah, this week we're gonna be talking about the event crew and doing that. We've also got Stars has got another lineup of fake crew to give us as well. But we're also gonna do something a bit fun later, and we're gonna have a little play with Star Trek the Game Show. So this will be a little bit more of an interesting one. We'll see how it goes. You guys look so thrilled that I said. You guys are so thrilled that I said let's do Star Trek Game Show, and both were like, really?
No, we're
Don't worry, that dead look in my eye is just how I normally look. Just ask my boyfriend.
No, we're kind of wiped out from work, so we're like, oh yeah, we have a show to do.
Well, this is the thing: is when
That'll
you
put
start
butts in
doing
seats.
when you start doing a podcast on a show in the middle of like COVID lockdown, it's like, oh man, I've got all this free time. I can devote all the time to this, and then suddenly real world stuff kicks in. You're like, oh, this is what it means to be a normal human being again. Damn it, I hate this.
I haven't left my house in 18 months, and that's how I was
Yeah, no,
able
I
to
loved
do
it. It's great.
do the show every week.
Yeah. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the event scores. Thank you, Stephen Sinner, there for reminding me. Yes, I believe a certain person worked very hard to get his win, but let me just find the right event on my iPad. Where are we? Hang on. There was that one.
Hashtag sponsored by Apple.
Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations to USA Fimpy from the O Clan for the victory on By Any Other Name. So congratulations to you. James T. Kirk came second. I didn't know he played. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, no, I thought Jean-Luc Picard was way more of a Timelines player. I thought Kirk was more of a Star Trek Fleet Command kind of guy.
We have who else have we got down here? Captain Sheridan, VIP Zero, who came on the charity stream with us. He's in number 21. Who else have we got?
Number 40.
Number 40. Oh, yeah, there's a DC, Mr. Spocky Balboa, his highest faction win ever. So congratulations to you, Spocky, for grabbing that position. Well done. Because I remember he was saying, he's like, I'm ranked 75 or something. This is like with a few hours to go with the event. It's like, will I make top 50? And we're all a bit like, oh, I don't know. And then he just went, used all his boosts, shot right up there.
The most Yorkshire of wins.
The most Yorkshire of wins as well. And there is somewhere on here a Genocidanian, but I can't find him because I believe he's below the 50 threshold, maybe?
He's activated his cloaking device.
He has, hasn't he? I believe he did say he came within the top 100 boundary, so you have to remind us, Genos, where you came. Because I did promise.
Hey man, that's a respectable performance for any man.
Respectable performance. I think actually no. I have to give a big shout out to Jonas because I think for every event this mega, he has scored top 100 or he's been like within the top 750 for every single event, and that's a remarkable achievement. Also, yes, Seven. Thank you, Jonas. Seven and Marto were in that top ranks as well. So, and if you remember, Marto got ranked 5th a few factions back, 58 or something. There we go.
Or
That's
something.
What he says.
Who cares?
Who cares? It's all right. You got your score.
He's a lovely man, and he's a bit of a horse. I don't know how he manages it, quite frankly.
He's in chat every week. He's got the determination to support this game and this show.
I know we keep on trying to get him to leave, but he just won't.
Keep rating all his favourite cards really badly. But yes, might as well get straight on to this week's crew, because I say, usually we have a bit... Oh gosh, my icons are everywhere. What's going on here? We're all squished up. I haven't played with this at all. Let's do that. Right, there we go. Usually we tend to have a little bit of news from WRG or something. This week's kind of a bit of a slow light one, but let's have a look at this week's crew, and let's start off with his India Aquatic Councillor, the slug that can join your bridge crew with all those wonderful other bridge artworks that you so sorely need.
No, but before we went live, you did a wonderful whale impression. Maybe you could do that for the viewers.
Thanks for that.
Was that it?
Was that it? I can't remember.
That sounds more like crowd noise on like an NES football game.
Sensible soccer. Those are the days.
Yeah. Give us our recap.
As part of the Xindi Council, the Xindi Aquatic Counselor debates with Archer over whether they were lied to by the Sphere Builders.
So this was part of the big season 3 plot thread for Enterprise, because I am apparently the designated Enterprise expert around here.
I did restart Enterprise, so I'm going through it. But
okay,
they always lose me with the Xindi thing, and then pull me back in season 4. So
yeah, no, season 4 is easily the strongest season, but I have a lot of time in season 3. And you get these sort of Phantom Menace-esque like shots every now and then of like the council, and they're always like bickering back and forth, because on the one side you've got the insectoids and the reptilians who are like, kill all the humans, click 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 click, and then you've got the humanoids and the arboreals and the primates. I think, is it the 3?
Yeah.
I might be getting all arboreals and primates mixed together. And they're like, we should do this like carefully, and I don't like killing people. And then you've got the aquatics sort of in the middle, making their whale noises and taking a long time to make a decision. I think this is a cool card for us to have in game, partly because I always like it when you get a card in game where, like, Enterprise came out in like 2003, 4-ish for the season, so the CGI for the Xindi Aquatic was quite impressive for TV back then. Doesn't look so great now, but obviously the artwork means you can kind of transcend that kind of murky, less than great TV CGI, and you get they look better here than they probably do in the actual show.
Let me see if I can find an image of the Xindi Aquatic CGI and see how much they've tweaked that.
I'm gonna do a shout out for a shout out. I'm not gonna do a shout out. I'm gonna do a shout out.
A William Shatout.
for Skycap, who is probably not watching because we're talking about the game. But yeah, the art really is very reminiscent of the, I forget what they were called now. The aliens, the little Fisher aliens from Equinox, the Voyager two-parter, part 1 and 2.
Yeah,
and they come floating down.
Life forms, right?
Yeah, they come floating down. They have like a tail, and they look just like the art. So that's what that reminded me of. And I know she's been, because she has a great love for, what's his name? The first officer on
BLT. That's all he is.
Yeah, Max.
Mr. Bosch.
Max, I guess his name is. And a lot of people have been wanting the whole series of Captain Ransom and everyone involved. So
the evil EMH and everything. Yeah, I think that'd be a really strong theme for Omega if they went for it.
I always like the non-humanoid art and to see how it comes out. So I think they did a great job with that. It reminds me of Equinox. Maybe we can get some more alien life forms, not just all humans in the future.
Yeah, not all human Starfleet Federation if we can. Like, and to be fair, I think as cards go, this one at least is interesting, because I don't look at it and go, it's like he's got collection value. He's got a big base for people that matters for some people. That voyage score is. We're in the mega. Yeah, we're in the mega post-coitus right now, and it's not pretty.
we're all in the bed smoking the cigarette, are we?
It's a bad cigarette if this Aquatic is anything to go by.
Actually, I was looking at him earlier, and I thought, okay, it's not good, but he doesn't have a lot of competition, because for that skill set, first of all, Dip Bench is pretty plus, but for that skill set, I like the names around him. A lot of, I know we've shifted so much to collections lately, and there are a lot of non-collection names. So people like Leah Brahms, Rain Robinson, Timison, the Professor, Tana Joel. So it's like their stats are already poor. They don't have collection value, and there are a lot of one-off names too. Emery Erickson is in there. So it's like if stats are the only thing you're going for there, that skill set is probably the best one for him to pop up in, because even if you don't use him on voyages, like you said, he does have the base, he does have the collections, he doesn't have a lot of competition on voyages. So it's Red Angel, it's Interface LaForge, and then it's like falls off a cliff. So I could definitely see some people. I mean, someone like Captain Sheridan, a VIP zero player, makes an effort to get 3-4 copies right off the bat. I wouldn't shout at anyone for putting stars on him. I know we're like, oh, bad void score, don't do it, but he does have some peripheral perks.
Yeah, well, especially because if you think of what was another crowd name, I guess something like maybe Atana Joel, who was like the big mega giveaway that was like Dip Eng as well. I think I remember her being quite a good Voyager when she debuted. Not so much anymore, but I imagine she's probably in this like hallmark. So if she's still making Voyages and you don't have anyone that you can directly upgrade to, he would at least be a version that you could throw on there at least to double up.
Apparently, the Zindi Aquatic's name is Kayafet Aman Sor. Apparently, someone was saying in the chat, like, I'm ashamed they didn't get any names. Apparently, that is their name. I don't know where that comes from. Kayafet Aman Sor.
Wait, you just read it off. How do you not know where it comes from?
Well, okay, no, what I mean is essentially I can't remember it being mentioned in the episode.
Oh, I can't imagine it's mentioned in. It's probably one of those things that comes from a script or a production prop or something like that. Where some writer has just smashed some consonants together.
Pour one out for all the names and little pieces of trivia that died in script, because it's like somehow people get a hold of these and they'll put them up on Memory Alpha, but there's probably so many things that writers just want to add a little flavor for something that gets like 2 seconds of screen time, and then they ignore it. So
yeah, well, it reminds me of there's I can't remember what episode it is, but I think it's like a conversation in Voyager. And like Janeway's talking to Harry, and she recommends like Captain Pike's journals, like in his star star logs or whatever. And it's like that was cut from the actual episode that aired. And I was like, you know what, that would have been like a nice little nod. I always like when they reference like Pike in the in pre-Discovery days, because that was kind of a rare thing. Like I thought that was kind of a bit of a shame to lose.
I do remember a conversation with Janeway and someone else where they were talking about was it Harry? They were talking about Kirk or whatever. And Harry was like in awe of the regulation breaking going on, and she's like, it was a different time. They were out there on their own, and they answered.
Like ships went half as fast. That conversation. Maybe it was part of that one. Then maybe it was part of that. But he just adds a little bit of flavor, and you lose.
What are you talking about? They went warp 13. It's faster, isn't it? Right.
That's true. Then the Kelvins.
On the new scale, I'm sure that's warp 9.9999975.
Yeah, nearly warp 10. Everyone was lizards. Speaking of lizards, this is
can't
not far off from being on a rock, this art, really, is it?
It's true.
We need to petition all Trek fans to scrub Threshold from canon, because I feel like that fouls up so many. Like, if people want to go warp 11, just let them go warp 11. Don't make... Everyone's like, no, can't do that. Gonna turn into lizards. I'm like, all right, guys, maybe it's not canon. Can we just...
Or, alternatively, you go super hard and you make it hard canon, and then in Discovery, they go to warp 10, and then suddenly you have, like, super high production quality lizards running around.
And then roll credits, and it's the end of the series.
That's the end of season 7.
I feel like if that was how Discovery ended, a lot of people who don't like it would warm up to it a little bit.
Dude, it would fucking be better than Enterprise. Come on.
True.
Imagine they're sitting in the Discovery writing room and they're thinking, right, we need to somehow, make some new technology. It's like, well, let's go warp 10. And someone goes, no, we can't do that. And someone's sitting there thinking, mushrooms.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mushroom. I'm just thinking of that scene from Lord of the Rings where they topple down the hill and they just go, mushrooms.
Mushrooms. Apparently, Degra mentions the name in an episode. Like, it's spread out over like 20 different episodes, so I'm sure I missed that. Wow.
There's a lot of episodes.
Garrett should be playing this game show, for Christ. Like, he's a lot better at this stuff than I am.
Yeah, you wait for it. He'll be getting 100% on this. Okay.
Chad's going to get it right way more often than we will.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look away from chat when we do that segment. Otherwise, I'm gonna be like, I can't give the right answer now because then I'll look like I'm cheating.
I'm gonna stare at it and blatantly just grab all the answers.
Well, you are going to be competing against each other, so it's going to be whoever goes faster. So that might not benefit you to wait.
So what does the winner get?
My turn.
They get a 1 star on They get a 1 star on Admiral Cartwright.
You get your own,
which is worth almost as much as Idol's Eternal Love and Gratitude. Almost,
because you didn't have it already. Okay. Moving on. Sentry Guinan. Century Guinan. Like, gotta go with Century Nurse Crusher. We've just gonna keep losing parts of that
Doubling
sentence
down.
until
Yeah,
we're
just double down.
Century whatever, eventually it'll just be C whoever, it won't be 18th century anymore. Go on.
I have to wonder why, because it's not like they can't put numbers in the title. We have like 1701 Cisco and 1701 Dash.
23rd century Martok.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what's the thing here? I don't get it.
I read somewhere that time period was referred to, I don't know if colloquially or like, what's the opposite of colloquially when it's like officially as just the century period, someone said. Really? So
canonized, I guess, maybe, or codified. Codified would be the word, yeah. It
would be like if you said Renaissance Guinan or Middle Ages Guinan. Apparently century is a name for a specific period in time, but it just comes across as confusing, so they should
that feels like an argument I would make while I'm writing my dissertation, not something that makes it into a massively like a Star Trek mobile game. But if that's correct, then props to whoever made that distinction.
I mean, it's like maybe you get a cookie for being right, but maybe you also confused a lot of your players, so you should have just put a number in front of it. But I guess they want to win that battle, so
yeah.
So this is a crew you're going to get next week, and I believe it's did they say it was a hybrid? And is it a faction? I didn't actually look at what the event was.
Faction Galaxy.
Yeah, so you're going to get, hooray, we're all getting a 4/4 costumed Guinan to add to the very, very many that you will need to complete that collection.
Yeah, but then they're going to expand the thresholds after you get there. So.
The eternal struggle.
I told you, treadmill. They're going to treadmill you.
They're going to raise it to 121.
That's pretty good, I bet.
Why not?
So I love the art on this Guinan. Like, even if she were abominably bad, and I don't think she is, the art on her is just so good. And I'm trying to think of a moment where Guinan wasn't looking like $1 million. Because it's like every single time you see her, she has an amazing hat. She's wearing these bright, wonderful colors that really accentuate just how gorgeous Whoopi Goldberg is.
I'm pretty sure it was in her contract that she was allowed to wear whatever she wanted on set,
Honestly, I would believe it. You know what? That's one of those things where it's like you walk on, you go, you get to say, "I was in The Color Purple" or whatever it was, whatever movie that got made that made her big. It's like, and then you can say, "I want the biggest, most ridiculous hat you've got," and they're like, "Miss Goldberg, your room," and it's just full of Guinan hats.
Dude, I want there to exist some outtake that was never released where like she's doing a scene in 10 Forward, and then someone like Brent Spiner walks in as Data with one of her giant hats and just acts like everything's completely normal and try to break her. Like, I have to imagine they did that at some point. Someone must have grabbed her hat and tried it on.
Someone must have. Maybe we'll get that in Picard Season 2. Maybe we'll have some return of the giant hats. I'd be excited
that
about
would be good. She has to. I mean, if it's Guinan with the, because Whoopi Goldberg, I think she's pretty much dreadlock now, isn't she? So, she has to.
Yeah.
I think she has to come out with at least some sort of headwear of some description because. Have we ever seen the top of Guinan's head? Do we know that it is in fact? Have we?
In Generations, when Picard goes to her quarters, she doesn't have a hat on for once. I think it's the only time.
Also, when she was fencing with him, she pulls off her helmet at one point.
Yeah, good call.
Oh, fencing Guinan. Now there's a card we need.
I mean, the fencing. There's a couple. I really like the athletic theme, because you have what's the Parisi squares that we talked about last week. There's a lot of Parisi square. There's some in DS9, with Julian and O'Brien. You have fencing. You have Mokbara. You have a lot of athletic stuff that they could really pull out.
Water
polo, yeah. And of course, shirtless, bright red pants Kirk from Charlie X, who I really want.
With the Starfleet logo on his thigh.
Guess what? That man bled Starfleet, and you may want to make sure that you knew it.
He excreted Starfleet.
Okay. No, that's called the captain's log. Let's not go into that.
Oh, God.
So, the art's good. The art's okay, but her arm is like too short. The arm that's on her hip.
Yeah.
And I feel like that happens sometimes in cartoons where the limbs aren't exactly the right proportions.
Thing, maybe.
Yeah.
It could be.
But I'm sure that's just a minor quibble by me. But I was thinking when I saw this cruise coming out, I thought back to the episode Time Zero. So we got Century Crusher, Everyone's been pounding the table for Bad Boy, Chippendale's Cop Riker, as an originals, or maybe not. You know, you have Mark Twain, big cultural figure, icon, way over the top acted, but there's so many characters from that. And the one that really stuck out to me was a Guinan, because I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like she played the exact same character. Like everyone else sort of felt like they were playing dress up, but even 200 years before, she felt very much like modern day Guinan. And I know you could say, well, that's, you know, someone could say, well, that's not good acting then if she plays the same character 200 years. But like that speaks to the mystery of Elorians, and we know that they live forever, and it's like she felt like the wisest one in the room for that two-parter.
Yeah, well, I actually like that you brought that up, because one thing I really like about what they bring to her character in that is that because she doesn't know Picard, there is like he has an element of knowledge over her for once, and she also has a degree of playfulness and childishness that doesn't really get a lot of play the rest of the time. Like, it comes out a little bit in Rascals when she gets turned into a kid, but like her booping Data on the nose and like needling like Clemens in the back of the head or whatever, is like. She's a bit. You can tell that she's definitely a bit younger, and you get the impression she's a bit of a rebel, because she like the first thing she thinks when she sees Data is like, "Oh God, Dad's brought someone to get me back home because I'm off middling with the humans
Mom!
again."
You get back to your planet.
So I feel like she
it's
has
like Trelane
nice...
Redux,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's. Imagine if like we get. Picard season 2, is he still alive? The actor who played Trelane?
Good question.
Billy Campbell?
William Campbell. I think so.
Imagine they bring him back as Trelane and he's Guinan's dad or something like that. That'd be a fucking pull.
Unfortunately, he died in 2011.
No, he passed in 2011.
Yeah.
Damn.
A shame.
I'm going to cry now. Why'd you have to bring that up?
Sorry. Time's arrow comes for us all.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, he was also, of course, Koloth in Trouble with Tribbles, and then reprised as Dahar Master Koloth in DS9.
Which was so impressive if you think about it. Like, they got all those actors back from the original series, DS9, to reprise their roles, but with... I always found that amazing, that they managed to sort of pull that off.
Yeah, I also remember hearing, apparently they didn't realize they were going to have to be doing the TNG Klingon makeup, so they were like, wait, we don't just do the Fu Manchu, and they're like, no. Then they have to do the full forehead ridges, and it's like...
Sit in that chair at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, no, and I imagine that's a bit of an ask for like a 60s veteran character actor, but they were good sports and they did it.
You know, we were just talking about that yesterday, Stars.
I think we were, yeah.
And I think we both agreed that if they were going to keep one alive from that trio, it's best that Koloth is the one, because he had a lot of range, and I mean, you already had one pretty stoic Klingon on the show with Worf, so it was nice to have someone a little more playful. Which this has nothing to do with Century Guinan, but you know,
we got
it's old people. It's
someone
fine,
brought up
it's
Trelane, so that was me.
It's all about Trelane here. Don't worry. So in terms of like stats, she's like relatively boring. Like, she's just another dip command, and it's not like Guinan gets a ton of events. But this does at least mean you can have a full 4-person bridge of nothing but fancy Guinans, and I feel like that's important.
True. The event count is actually misleading here. It's not 0. Shout out to No Name Namer, who has made me an amazing tool to actually make all these stats up automatically, because previously before the show, when they come out, I was typing them all out manually, and he's made me a little program that scrapes from the data core and just ping, image straight away, so he saves me about half an hour every Wednesday, so thank you, No Name. But yeah, no, the event count is not 0, I would imagine. Guinan's had events before, has she not?
1 or 2, yeah.
I know she's had at least one feature.
Yeah.
And then Costumed has had events, so...
Yeah.
Did it? I didn't know about that.
Did it not? What was the last mega?
What year is it?
What's going on?
I was waiting to see how long it would take to be like...
He's pranking you. Okay.
Dude, I have zipped so much memory in my brain to make room for like crew evaluation stuff, and now that the big book's done, I just unzipped it, and everything game is being slowly pushed out of my brain.
New data is coming in as the old stuff is coming out. What have you learned recently?
Yeah, no, what's replacing it? Yeah.
What?
What's replacing all the big book evaluation stuff?
Complete bollocks, I'm sure.
What are you doing with all your wonderful free time now?
Actually, I was going to ask you, now that Namer saved you 30 minutes a week, well, what's going on there?
Wandering around the house. Twiddling my thumbs.
I'm just imagining you like a World War I soldier after shell shock, just like...
Getting PTSD. Dip command. Sorry. Not to offend anyone with actual PTSD. I'm sure that's nothing like it. And,
yes, no.
So people do genuinely suffer from it.
Add it to the list of offensive things we say weekly.
Oh, thank God we're not a popular podcast. Okay, moving on.
I wonder why.
This week's Tuesday pack, Lieutenant Narissa Rizzo, super rare, Romulan spy with that awesome uniform. Hang on.
Wait, hold on. I didn't do Guinan's
Oh, yeah, sorry. We'll go back to Guinan.
Guinan, contemporary to this time period, meets Picard for the first time as he tries to prevent Data's murder.
Data. Yeah.
You're really dialing down on that Data thing, huh?
Fake fan. We're not getting him back on the show. I can't believe Ben said Data. I'm a little bothered that since George and Gracie came out, I think we've only had one sort of whimsical note. The rest have all been sort of matter of fact, and I guess that's how it should be. But I always open these up expecting to read something, I don't know, a little more playful,
a little bit more mirthful. Yeah, they've all been a bit businessy, I suppose. Like we need some originals, or perhaps from a funny episode to really get something like that, I suppose.
Spittin' Picard doesn't have one, does he? I don't imagine so.
No, I don't think he does.
Oh, what a shame.
All right, and since we're switching to Rizzo, is it Rizzo or Rizzo?
I think it's Rizzo.
Rizzo.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in a production of Grease or something. Under the direction of Commodore O, Narissa poses as a human Starfleet agent in order to hunt biological androids.
Stars, can we have a uniform discussion now? What do you think of these uniforms?
I like them. I think they're a decent modernization of. I think they're a good modernization of the DS9 Voyager ones. I like the bit of black here to separate up. I feel like that gives a nice bit of spacing.
Have you noticed it's got the notch as well? Like the phone notch, just sitting there pointing down as well. I really like it. I like the high collar. It's yeah.
I was just gonna say, I wonder if that high collar bothers the actors because it's gonna rub their makeup, right?
Maybe. I think people generally are sort of natural complexion, aren't they? So I think they're not. There's not we haven't seen many Andorians or any kind of Orions in them yet, have we? No one with any kind of major texture.
Well, to be fair, I imagine most modern makeup doesn't flake off quite as easily as perhaps a old style Cardassian throw some grey paint on their face. I imagine
a spoon and spray around. Rizzo Septic Command, the Tuesday pack this week, super rare. So the one thing that kind of gets me now with any super rare in a collection is just in a Tuesday is this going to be a collection in the future? Is there always part of me thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't skip over this? But to be honest, if I had the dilithium after last night's antics, I probably would have pulled a few packs just because I don't particularly like her character, but I kind of like that uniform. Which is a weird way of doing it. I don't know. I've got Commodore O, so I'd quite like to have the little set.
Well, why not? Didn't we get Raffi in her uniform?
Oh, we did, but she was Tuesday as well. But she was a legendary, so it was a bit harder to get.
So okay, right. I was going to say, the idea that you would chase Rizzo and not Raffi is a bit...
Actually, Raffi's was the earlier uniform, which was when
2386 or whatever.
When Picard was still an admiral, so they had the kind of separated lines along the thing. That's a really nice uniform as well. That was very nice.
That's fair.
And we need Admiral Picard, proper Admiral Picard, not future tense Admiral. No, not future tense. What's that episode called? Future Imperfect.
Shut your mouth, as in stop talking. That one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Irritated Riker.
I had to think that. I was doing
I'm sensing hostility. Deanna, back off. So good.
What happened to all those calculations, thousands of calculations per second, millions of calculations?
I'm running a level 2 diagnostic. For 13 hours, you're incapable of that kind of intelligence.
That's okay. We can rein those back. And Paul Needham chat says we need more Romulans. And actually, that was my first thought when I saw. Okay, it's a purple Romulan, we just had this big collection expansion, and the two notable exceptions that didn't get bumped because they don't have enough participants are Ferengi and Romulan. So I think we're at, 22 Romulans now? If we get a handful more, they may bump that up in the future. So,
well, perhaps we could get an actual proper Romulan mega where they aren't all people in disguise in actual proper Romulans.
Who could you have?
Like, do you remember when we were forecasting that we were going to get like a Romulan, like Borg Picard mega, and then never happened?
Hold on to your data.
Never happened.
Well, to be fair, like there's a handful of Romulans who probably got named in story or whatever. But are you going to be more excited to see them or Romulan Picard from a legendary two-parter that Spock was in? So I can understand some of the fake Romulans.
I can understand it, but it is also a case of, like, we have 22 Romulans, and I actually, if you look through half of that collection, probably like half of them are fake. And it's like, there are plenty of Romulans we don't have in game. And considering how many Klingons, like, how many Romulans, what's the Romulan to Klingon ratio? It's probably like 4 times as many Klingons.
There's still a
like, granted, half of those are war for Toras.
So we can still have the ambassador from Final Frontier. What's her name? I don't know what her name is. You can still have the ambassador from the undiscovered country. I mean, there's two sort of the motion picture Romulans.
I think the biggest one. I should probably look this up.
Senator Pardek.
Exclaiming this. I was going to say Koval.
Yeah.
Hey,
there you
Tal
go.
Shiar chairman. Well, because he had a lot of dialogue. Plus, John Fleck plays the Suliban. What's Silic?
Silic, yeah, he's Silic. Yeah.
Oh, shit!
And he plays a lot. He plays Abaddon and Voyager. I'm looking now. He plays a bunch of different. He's in DS9. He's in TNG, Voyager. So Enterprise. Boy, damn, he was in a lot of stuff.
the unknown fucking Jeffrey Coombs, I suppose.
You can always tell as soon as he opens his mouth because he has that very sinister sort of voice.
Man, didn't know
But he actually played 2 different Romulans. So yeah, I think Koval is probably the biggest name out there for Romulans.
Yeah, because he has that wonderful exchange with Bashir where it's like, it's like, oh, it was a pleasure to meet you. Really? Why? I don't have an answer.
We could have off-duty, what's her name, from the original series, the female Romulan who tries to seduce Spock.
The Romulan commander,
Nevesa, yeah. She could have off-duty.
I do love those original series costumes. I'm kind of sad that we went through all of Discovery and we didn't get like a modernized take on that uniform.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have been special.
I mean, well, we still have a lot of prequel stuff going on, so I could definitely see them do. As you pointed out last week, Disco did a early TNG uniforms. There's nothing stopping them from doing an old school Romulan one. That and the very Roman helmets that go with it would be cool.
Oh yeah,
the sort of bronze.
I do love that they keep on trying to make helmets a thing for all these alien species. Like you have the ones for the Romulans, the Cardassians have those weird, egg crack helmets. That are weird, and they keep on trying to make these helmets and facewear to differentiate all these alien species, and they never really take.
The first Cardassians we saw in The Wounded, they had those kind of big, chunky, sort of like very padded outfits as well. Uniforms made them look quite budget in a way that they weren't later on.
Well, I think at the moment you realise that we were actually onto something here. You invest a little bit in the. And you don't stop making you stop making the costumes out of like tires you found on the road.
Wait, so there's a piece of trivia that is one of the things that's been pushed out of my brain. Who's the first Cardassian that ever spoke?
Mark Lamo.
It'd be Galmasette, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he had the moustache, didn't he? He had like the handlebar, didn't he?
Yeah, before they realised.
The only hairy Cardassian you've ever seen.
I remember reading that in the expanded universe, like he's like Galmasette's apparently like a really cool guy, and the reason he grows his facial hair is so that he is differentiated from his cousin called Gul Dukat because he thinks he's an asshole.
I remember.
Speaking of the hair, I grabbed my beard trimmer 3 days ago, and I went to trim my beard, and I forgot I didn't have the guard on. I just went, and I just went through the bottom. So now I'm rocking like a modified Fu Manchu, and now I feel like Galmasette. So
now starring Galmasette.
Just tell people it's for your cosplay. That's all it's for.
Me and Mark Alimo are basically indistinguishable at this point.
It's uncanny.
Yeah. So Rizzo's kind of garbage. I'll be honest.
Yeah, we've gone this long without even talking about it.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, granted, it was like it's not like she did much in that scene. I think she had like 4 lines of dialogue with her. But it's a case of Narissa was like arguably the main villain of Picard season 1, appeared in multiple episodes, and both of her variants have been super rare. Command Dipsec that doesn't register on anyone's radar, and it's a bit like, I'm not the biggest fan of her character. I thought she was kind of garbage compared to Narek, but it's a case of kind of got shafted in terms of representation.
And we're not going to see...
Clancy was the villain of the season.
No, Clancy was cool. She was hard as balls. But I don't think we're going to see any more...
She doesn't scratch that Nechayev for you? She doesn't scratch that school mom itch?
Oh, no. That was the prevailing fan theory when you saw her in the trailers. Everyone was like, that's an older Nechayev. Sorry, reaching, but okay.
You know, now I'm going through Mark Alamo's memory alpha as we talk. And I just realized he played an Antikin in TNG. I never knew
really?
that. Yeah, you remember the episode where the Antikin and the Soleil are on the ship at the same time?
Yeah, the weird dog guys and the
the dog guys
and
the snakes. Yeah, he was one of the dog guys. That's
wow.
Well, let's face it, we're not going to get any more Narissa variants at this stage because I don't think she's in Picard season 2, and there's
hold on, doesn't she fight to the death with Seven at the end of the season?
Pretty sure
she falls down. She falls down a giant hole, which is like the most easily retconned "I survived" thing ever.
No, but I mean, in terms of variants, doesn't she have like a different leather catsuit on or something at that point?
I'm sure she does. I'm sure we can get incestuous Narissa down the road.
That's a fusion card for you. Lannister, Narissa, and Narek. There you go.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Okay. Stars, you have another week.
We haven't talked enough about all these original crew, so let's do a few more.
Let's do some more. Stars, you've been listening to people's requests and come up with a few more original crew and a few more fake crew you want to bring to the fray. Starring the lot tonight. What's wrong with me? Brain's not working. Anyway, Wednesday ever.
It's not like you're the host or anything. It's fine.
It's fine. Getting too old for this shit. Danny Glover in it. Captain Philippa.
Does that make Automaton the rigs of the show? Like what?
That's one of the... Wait, hold on. What's the name of the chauffeur in Die Hard? The first Die Hard.
Oh God! I know exactly who you're talking about. The young black guy.
Yeah,
He's hilarious. Argyle?
Yeah. Argyle, yes.
Yeah, his name is actually Argyle.
Chief engineer.
Yeah, no, I was like, is it Argyle? I just got chief engineer Argyle. No, I think it is actually Argyle.
Captain Idle is definitely Bruce Willis, and I'm Argyle. I'm happy to be Argyle in this story.
Oh dear. Anyway, Captain Philippa Louvois. Yes. Well known as the JAG officer. I think the only JAG officer we actually see in all of Star Trek, really.
Well, she says she's the only one in the sector, so I imagine they're not very plentiful.
Even though, like, on a ship the size of the Enterprise D, which has like 1,000 people, you think they would have like one JAG officer to deal with all of like Riker's sexual conduct complaints.
Well, I told you this.
They need to beam a whole team in from
It's just there's a lot of cases.
Someone's got a little dolly with like boxes of paperwork, and they like line it up against the wall. They're like, "This is just last year."
There's a really funny Archer joke, and it's about like they're planning this thing about like stopping a rival agency from taking over theirs, and they've got all these dolls to represent them. And they're like, why do we have all these dolls just lying around the office? And they're like, oh, it's for sexual harassment complaints so that people can indicate where they were touched. It's like, what? You need this many in case there's a gangbang? And then everyone just like stares. It's just...
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. Anyway.
We started out raunchy. We're going to stay raunchy.
Guess what? It's our brand. So I figured that she's a captain. She does a lot of talking. There's not a lot of like variety in terms of skill set I can give her here. And I figured that Med would be the nicest way to spruce things up a little bit, because I feel like if you're mediating on matters of philosophy and metaphysics and the soul, medicine kind of comes into play here, and I feel like this is better justified than Tourist Quark, at least.
I mean, they've thrown a lot of med into Romantic Crew before, I think. So.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, because she has like that long-standing like liaison with Picard, and he's still a bit bitter about the fact that she used that against him in the Stargazer court-martial and stuff like that. Which is the reason why she has a shield disruptor ability.
If you want to read that, The Buried Age, which is a book by Christopher L. Bennett, actually goes into... That's quite a good book, and that sort of covers a period between the Stargazer going down and Picard taking control of the Enterprise D, and it's quite a good read. And it features Captain Philip O'Loir going quite nuts in it as well.
So, before I forget, have you guys seen the show Jag?
No, I have not.
It was on in the David James Elliott, Catherine Bell. It was on, I think it started, early 90s? Let me see. Season 1, 1995. So, one piece of trivia that I'll never forget for whatever reason. I don't know if it was only the No, I think it was everything on TV at the time. Only 2 shows on TV had a live orchestra for recording the shows, and one was Jag, and one was Star Trek: The Next Generation. So
really,
a lot of shows to see, they would use stock music or outsource stuff, but they actually had TNG and Jag both had people writing them, composing the show, and then recording stuff. Pardon me, for every episode, which I always thought was cool. And since she's the Jag officer, that was a great series if you like the sort of military lawyer stuff, like A Few Good Men or whatever. So both that, and it also made me think of I could have sworn we had an advocate trait, because I think Advocate Kolos.
Yes, Advocate Kolos did have that, and I was tempted to give that to her, but I was like,
they removed it in the audit. And if there were 2 crew that would definitely have it, it would be Riker and Picard, who have to. Well, I guess it would be Picard, who's his advocate, and Riker's the cross. But would it be too weird to do a fusion crew with a Riker and Picard to get a 5-star Captain Louvois?
You know what I would want? I would want a deactivated Data and then Riker holding the hand, and then you put them together, and then you get him standing behind him, and then the ship ability quote is, Pinocchio's strings have been cut, and that's a fusion crew. I feel like that's a bit more appropriate.
All right. Yeah, I would love to see more characters because we have 3-star Maddox, who I was actually really disappointed when they couldn't get the original actor for Picard, because he was good. He came back in. I know Data wrote to him in Pen Pals, and I think didn't he come back in a different episode as well?
No, I think he wrote to him again in Data's Day, but I don't think he ever appeared again, unfortunately.
Yeah, Data's Day. So,
interesting fact, the actor that played the original Maddox I think he's teaching acting at a Californian school, and I believe, I don't know what the reason was he didn't come back, whether he just didn't want to do actual acting again, he just happier teaching, so they just recast him. So it's a shame, but nothing tragic happened to him. I think it was just an unfortunate circumstance.
He was great in that episode, because he came across to most people as a prick because you were predisposed to say, hey, Data's a good guy here. But I hate to say this, if you look at it from his point of view, actually it does make a lot of sense, because if you don't think of him, if you don't spend every day with Data and think of him as a person, and you see a pile of circuitry, of course the opportunity to advance Federation is tremendous. So he had, I don't know if you can say honorable motives, but his motives made sense. So he wasn't a bad guy. He was just
he's very much in that sort of. I think isn't it mentioned that he's a member of the Daystrom Institute, or am I thinking of Leia Brahms?
Unsure.
Because I can't remember when the first reference to the Daystrom Institute comes, but I think it's either him or Brahms, and he is very much in the Daystrom vein of well-intentioned guy who just wants to make the world better, but ends up sort of fumbling into misfortune in different magnitudes. Obviously, Maddox never got anyone disintegrated by touching a warp core or whatever, but there's a sort of commonality there, and he was not badly intentioned, just wasn't really thinking about the implications of his actions, really.
There's 2 reasons I absolutely love it. I mean, amongst the many, this is the best regarded Trek episode in all time. But the 2 reasons I love it is the first one is that it's it's an argument of two rights as opposed to one right and one wrong, because that's boring television. It's an argument of both sides have a point, and it's worth actually debating and talking about them, even though one is more clearly where they're going to go. They're not going to just activate data and ship him off and, hey, we don't see him for another 6 seasons or whatever. But, it was an interesting talking point about the morality. The other part that I really like is just at the end, when, everything's resolved, Data can keep his commission, everything that. Data actually approaches Maddox and just says, hey, I still want to be friends. I still want to share my data. I still want to work with you, because that's the underlying point.
Share my data, as it were.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeez.
Just like off screen, just a
bit of data in your holiday stockings.
Yeah. It was just like a nice message to go, sometimes these things just work. And I just, two of the main reasons I love this episode.
So I know you tried to gussy up her skill set, but actually I feel like her parrying with Picard at the beginning, all of their little jabs back and forth, is probably more sec than any other skill you could give her. So
that's a fair criticism, but I didn't want her to be another Command Dip sec. I felt like she deserved a little bit something special.
Could you say Command Dip Eng for being part of a trial about an engineer? I don't know. That is a stretch, possibly.
Well, I also wanted to give her something unique, and I can't think of many other Command Dip meds that we have in game.
If we do get cross-examination Riker, you could give him Eng, because, he knows how to turn him off.
Well, he does look up his schematics, it's true, which is another great bit of acting by
there's
John
a scene where he's
I like
sitting there
that scene.
looking through the schematics on the Enterprise.
Yeah, because I like that scene, because it's going to be just like us picking up Jonathan Frakes for like an hour and a half. Because he has his look of triumph of like, oh yeah, I found my thing, and he's like, oh no way, I found the answer.
Yeah.
And there's a nice little bit of like acting.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not spend 10 minutes on Philippa Lavoie, as great as she is.
Armed Sauron. But wait a minute, Stars. We've already got a Sauron variant in the game.
I really hate the 4-star version of Sauron that we have. He's so lame. He's the lamest, because it's him from the 3 seconds that we see him on the Enterprise B. And he looks kind of off model. Like, he never does this gesture that I think he does in the art. And it's like, I thought that Sauron was a really interesting villain, and I think he was a really well chosen one, well acted, obviously, because you got Malcolm McDowell. And I love him bouncing off of Patrick Stewart, and like, Generations gets a lot of guff, some of it deserved, but I think that scene in 10 Forward, where like he grabs Picard's arm and he's like, time is the fire in which we burn. Like, it's like, and the way that Picard is just shaken by that is like, I feel like that's really is amazing, because you get like these two powerhouse British actors acting against each other. So I wanted to give him a proper card.
I think about 8 months ago, we talked about if they ever do animated crew art, one of the first ones we want is Soren standing there with the little disruptor, flipping back and forth. That's so
getting into
goofy.
gangster style, yeah.
That's so fucking goofy.
I do love the little scope on the top as well. He's got that tiny little scope, as if he can kind of see through at that distance.
You'll poke your eye out, kid.
Did you want to give him any more traits, though?
Okay, I feel like these are all appropriate, though. Can you tell me any of these are wrong?
No, not really.
No.
Hey, you could probably, you could probably find one or two more to add too.
Yeah, I feel like I wanted him in this sort of power range where he has a really unique skill set, but you don't want him to be just another Gary 7. But with like a lot of these good traits, you would always find a room for him on your voyage. And he does all of these things in the actual movie. Interrogator was one I was like, wait, do I remember a thing about... And then there's a deleted scene where he actually tortures and interrogates Geordi for information about what he knows about trilithium. And that was cut from the main movie, apart from like a stray line from Crusher. But I thought, you know what? We had an Interrogator Mega. Let's give this imaginary card all the steam he can get.
You know, it just occurred to me, why the hell does the one lore not have Interrogator? He's literally holding Geordi's visor that he took off him while he's strapped down in the basement to a chair, right? Doesn't he Doesn't he?
Yeah, no, they give him Borg, which he arguably isn't, and don't give him interrogating, which he arguably is.
Well, no, I guess Data does the interrogating on that one, right? Because he removes the visor and whatever. Anyways.
But yeah, and I also wanted to give him some instant damage because he blows up stars for a living. Like, what more do you need for that?
For a living.
Basically, I don't remember what else he did for a living. Do you? It's not like he was selling stuff on Etsy.
Yeah, having some more Elorians would be quite cool. I could see. We could also get the Elorian from that the DS9 episode.
DS9 episode,
yeah, that'd be cool. From the one where he's debating against, he's rivaling Quark for a gambling business. That'd be quite cool.
Played by good old Prince Humperdinck.
Wait, hold on. How do I not remember this?
You don't?
It's like a season 2 episode. It's really early DS9. It's not the greatest episode.
Oh, I think after Rayo Vandeguy tried to erase my memory of whatever.
I do remember in the original script, I think they wanted him to be Guinan's son, and Guinan was meant to come on, and they'd be like, "Oh, you naughty guy, come over here." But I think they dropped that when A, they realized that Whoopi Goldberg wasn't going to be there, and B, it was just kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
I'm even looking this up now. How do I not remember this? Martus.
I'm glad to know that my fake crew are so interesting.
Well, just to let you know, the Star Trek Game Show goes up to 1998, so that episode may be covered. So just there you go.
I'm gonna bomb. I'm gonna get
got some weak spots in your knowledge here. Okay, moving on. Kaelist. Yes.
I feel like I should have probably paired this. Yes, exactly. I feel like I should have paired this one with Kempek for proper effect, but let's be real. It's all about the ship damage here.
Yes, it's all about that quote. That's the whole reason.
Yeah.
I do like the nurse trait. Nurse is quite a good one.
Yeah, it doesn't get a lot of play, and I feel like it's fair. She had to be brutal. I feel like she gets one of the most brutal kills in all of TNG, I feel like.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Just stab. No, she stabs a few guys, doesn't she?
I think she stabs at least one right in the back, and he dies hard.
Well, being a nurse, she has the correct anatomical knowledge, so...
It's true, it's true.
Now, I don't know if we can reveal this on stream. Isn't your wife a nurse idol? So if she wanted to kill you, she would know exactly how to make it look like an accident.
She is actually a radiographer, so she takes x-rays. So if you want to know which bones to break in my body, then yes.
I thought we were going to go down the road of if she wants to, spread radiation on your pillow and, slowly kill you off that way.
She would know the exact radiation dosage to give me some sort of...
well, you would start losing your hair, so that would be tragic.
I know, my glorious hair. It can't
wow!
Go I know, it's fine. I've heard them all. It's fine. It's because Big isn't here, isn't it? You need someone to take out on.
I know. No, I would run in fear if he was... Big's too intimidating to poke fun of. I couldn't do it.
It's in the name. He's huge.
That's true.
Big, large, but huge. Anyway. Any more on Kaelist?
She stabs the guy in the back and she's cool.
Cool.
And Kempek is fat.
Reckoning Kira.
I threw a lot of sexi people in here just because I feel like it's an underpopulated skill set. And also it makes a lot of sense for these characters we don't have. Obviously, you would want to pair this one with Par Wraith Jake for proper effect, but I feel like if you were going to do a Bajoran Mega, this would be either the recurring or it would be the gold everyone goes for.
Yeah, I could see. I mean, everyone talks about Fusion Crew. I don't know how eager they are to actually make them, but I feel like the ultimate Fusion Crew art would be Jake and Kira with the blue and the orange glow, and so you would have, because I've watched that episode semi recently, and when we find out who the Power Wraiths have picked to be their champion, and the camera pans up and Jake is standing there on the top of the promenade with, he's got his arms out on the thing, and he actually does look pretty damn cool. He's got a really snazzy vest on, but I think if they're going to do Fusion Crew, they would do a possessed Jake and a possessed Kira, and then do the battle. And I don't know if they could even fit it in with a normal size, because you have to fit crew in sort of a normal size, and to have two of them and room for the laser.
You have to make
things
them
going
tiny,
on.
like Koloth and Age of Sail Worf.
So
They're just like little specks. You just see the giant in between.
It would look really freaking cool, but I don't know if they could pull that off. I have a lot of their art is definitely improved, but I don't know if I have faith in them to be able to pull that off.
Speaking of Jake,
that'd be interesting.
Speaking of Jake, like throughout DS9, you see a lot of what Starfleet uniform's great. Any kind of uniform in Star Trek is great. Civilian, when everyone sort of goes to go right, you're going to dress in civilian gear. It's always a little bit questionable. There's always like really low cut tops, or it's sort of like some really strange fashion. But Jake always manages to pull off these really kind of nice sort of like he's either got like a waistcoat suit jacket or something.
Well,
like
as
that.
he grows up, he does. When he's younger, he's wearing buff
not.
seats. Like it's bad.
Yeah, but I was you saying like Jake in this episode. I'm just imagining he's kind of like a little waistcoat with a kind of bus interior jacket on, or whatever it is.
Bus interior.
It is. It's like that 90s kind
That's
of slash.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's like the magic eye jacket. You know, if you stare at it long enough.
If you look at it hard enough,
You just see
the
like
profits.
a bus number and a destination.
Bus interior jacket. That is what it is. Because I was just thinking about the color. I'm like, boy, that is so dated. Like you can tell what era that came out. That is the bus interior vest. All right, as long as we're speaking about civvies, Mr. I was a complete gentleman Tucker when he gets knocked up, and Archer says, you should stick with the civilian clothes. They seem to hide the bulge pretty well. So,
Can you imagine telling that to a pregnant woman?
yeah.
You'd be
You can get away with it if it's a guy.
That's a sure way to die, yeah.
Actually, I could see someone saying that to B'Elanna and then her like breaking their hand or something. So
No, you just even get ejected out of an airlock. You just get that scene from... You just insert that footage from Scorpion where like they blow all the Borg out through the airlock.
No.
So yeah, this crew specifically has been asked for a long time. So if they do come out with something, either a fusion crew, or whatever, I could see them making it a power monster too. Because
I feel like it would be appropriate. One other thing before we continue, I was looking through traits to give her, and I was like, oh, no. Prophet somehow survived the audit.
Wow. Is that used anywhere? Has that ever been used?
Sarah Cisco.
Prophet Sarah
Apart, I
Cisco.
mean, apart from in a crew, has it actually been used in a voyage or an event? I don't
No.
think that's weird.
I think the smallest event bonus was Temporal Agent for Braxton's debut event, and I think back then there were only 6 or 7 Temporal Agents in the game. So I think that's the smallest one that's been relevant. Because even vanities there's not really a trait associated with them.
Mm.
Okay. The Preacher, as played by Joseph Sisko.
Brother Benny.
Brother Ben.
Right towards Brother Ben. So I fucking love Brock Peters. He's so much fun every time he appears, and I'm kind of sad that he's been done dirty with kind of terrible terrible variants. I felt bad to have to kind of do that again because he doesn't really do a lot in this episode, even though how memorable he is. But I think if they brought him into the game, this portrait here where he's like half in shadow and he's like looking really grim and like almost like an like a figure of death, I feel like that'd be a really cool bit of art.
So he plays a pivotal role in, you'll have to help me, that DS9 episode.
The Stars.
No, where they, sorry, I mean Joseph Sisko, where they go back to try to stop changelings at Starfleet
Homefront.
headquarters. Yeah, it's a 2-parter.
Paradise Lost.
Paradise Lost, yeah. And so so the Joseph Sisko, the one that we have, is just bad. Like, he doesn't do anything. He has no collections, no bases. I think I saw him on a Gauntlet once because he does have a decent diplomacy role, but he's just bad top to bottom. But when you think of him in Paradise Lost, he plays a really important point of view. Like, how much do we give up our freedoms before we are not what we want to be? And so him being real, cranky and stubborn in that role, if they were ever going to do a redraw, as it were, of a Joseph Sisko, you call him Intransigent Joe, or whatever you want to call him. Something.
Intransigent Joe. That sounds like a D-tier wrestler.
Hey, I worked on that all night. Don't even start. I looked at it from all angles, and Intransigent Joe.
Oh my God! It's Intransigent Joe with the steel chair.
All right, stubborn Joe.
It's on the floor, broken in half.
So anyway, if they were gonna do another Joe Sisko, this would be. But the preacher, I mean, they could. If you think about Reverend Phlox, and he said like 2 sentences, and he was on the screen for 4 seconds, they could easily make him like as good as they want to make him.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I suppose I could have beefed him up a little bit, but I didn't want it to be all legendaries. I wanted there to be like a fair distribution of actual crew you would get, and at least he's inspiring. He needs as many inspiring crews as you can get these days.
In the collection.
So I don't see any bases on screen. Were those added?
Oh, I forgot the bases on this one. Okay.
Nice to know that all my work was for well worthwhile.
Nobody's nerfed. Okay. Phased low Raren. Row Laren. Got stuck in my own spoon.
Low, row your boat. Like what?
row your Laren. Okay, sorry, go on.
So, again, we have 2 rows in the game. One is a 2-star 1-skiller, and the other one is a 4-star that they love to throw into every rerun that they can.
Yeah.
And I feel like she deserves better than that, because we've talked quite a bit of time like how good Michelle Forbes is in the role, and it's like she just doesn't have the rep in game that I feel like she deserves. And I feel like this was the best opportunity to give us something a bit special, a bit unique. Another sex site, I know, but I do like her traits. I like I felt like I did a pretty good job on that, and I had to go for that art. Because me and Otto have talked at length about how if she ever does join the game, she needs to be shooting Riker in the head.
There's your fusion crew with, you could have another Row Laren with trombone Riker, jazz musician Riker, and smush them together.
Actually, that happened in Conundrum. I was going to say, if you're going to do a fusion crew with Riker and Ro, it would be when they get romantic in Conundrum. This one, if you're going to do a fusion crew, I would do her and Geordi at the point where they start to get rematerialized and they grab each other's arms or whatever. In engineering, when they see that they're
together, and they realize they can both touch each other. Yeah.
This episode, the next phase, I think it's season 5. And this is one of my favorites. It's in my top 10. Everyone loves TNG, but I think it's solidly in the top 10. And there's a moment that sticks with me because I saw it when I was a kid, and it was one of those holy shit moments. And it's when they are on the Romulan ship and they're trying to figure out what went wrong, and so they realize what happened, and then they head back to the shuttlecraft to go back to the Enterprise. And as they're standing around talking about it on the Romulan ship, they walk away. The camera stays on the shot after they walk out of shot, and then you see a Romulan stand up and walk through a table to go after them. And you're like, oh shit, he's stuck there with them, and it's sort of the hairs on the back of your neck type situation. And
you just reminded me they do that twice, because they also do that in Timescape, because they have that moment where they're in engineering and everyone's frozen, and then they're messing around in the warp core, and Geordie's like, wait, was this Romulan always standing here? And then he goes, ah!
There's that one, and then the female in sickbay when Bev is trying to phaser someone, and they do a close up on her, and then she sort of blinks and comes unfrozen. So
yeah, they love doing this stuff with Romulans for whatever reason.
I love this episode, but I hate that scene where they push the Romulan through the bulkhead and he just tumbles into space. How they eventually get him, she just goes,
oh, that was great. That was fantastic. That was
it's
so
really
brutal.
Cool, but it is you think about what that guy's gonna live through. That's bad.
Not. He's going.
Dude, the thing? He could potentially go through a star and be fine, but he's going to die of starvation. That's a real bad way to go.
I'm there for all the brutal kills, like Ezri with the teleporter sniper rifle. There's pushing the Romulan through the bulkhead. They're Star Trek did their fair share of.
There's that poor ensign that gets phased halfway through a deck plate. That was bad.
She's like horrible. Wax figure,
and the blood slowly comes down the nose, and you're like, "That's horrifying! Don't show me that."
Ooh. And let's never forget the time
you hear it scream, and then they run through, and it's like, ooh.
Never forget the time in the original series when the ship gets taken over, and Kirk just beams 2 men into space. And then it's never addressed again. Like, well, those guys are gone.
I'm sure he gave them a medal posthumously. So.
When he remembered to. Okay.
When he remembered.
Moving on. Well, of course there was going to be a Worf variant here, wasn't there? Chancellor Worf.
Now, this one I picked because there's a bit of trivia about this episode is called Tacking into the Wind, I believe. It's like part of that, basically a 9-parter that ends DS9. And it's after this scene takes place and he gives the chancellorship to Martok. He's talking to Ezri in the bar, and this is a deleted scene, it didn't make it in. And she basically asks him what it felt like to be standing at the pinnacle of the Klingon Empire. And he basically just says, I kind of wish that my father had been there to see it. And they basically just toast Moog, and it's like, I feel like that was a really nice moment, and that's kind of what I wanted to immortalize here, is like him in that moment thinking of his father and what he would think of him in that moment. Not just the rampant fanboyism, although that is obviously coming to play.
Now, this is a perfect example of what Timelines tries to do and depict the moment in time and build a card around it, but it almost feels like cheating because so he gets, by the way, they reused that where he gets Gowron throws him back through the glass and it shatters and he lands on his back. They use that in so much promotional material, and like last time on Star Trek, they used it like over and over and over again. But so he beats Gowron in the battle. They put the jacket around him, and he gives like a 3-sentence speech saying, "No, I shouldn't be the Chancellor, but someone here should be." And then he gives it to Martok, and we have a Chancellor Martok game. So I know that's the whole conceit of the game, but it almost feels like cheating because he has a jacket on for like 15 seconds, and suddenly he's a politician and he's a diplomat and he's all those things, and cultural figure, and it's like, okay, like I understand, why that makes sense, but it sort of feels like cheating, like if someone puts on a windbreaker and you give them athlete, it's like.
Guess what? If we can have 3 spots from the motion picture, we can have Chancellor Worf.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
Oh yeah, no, like the game does, like, it has like some huge leaps in logic. It's true, but you might as well play around with it and have fun while you're doing it.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the traits. Hero, I guess heroes, if they could add something like brave, something like that. Because, he speaks out when no one else will, and there's a lot of interesting moments from other characters that would fit that would be an interesting try. I guess hero is sort of the default for that, though.
So here, okay, I will defend politician on this one. Because in the world of Klingon politics, vanquishing your enemy is essentially, is the art of the impossible. It is politics, really. And that's exactly what he does mere seconds before he gets put on the rope. He kills Gowron. So I'd say in terms of Klingon politics, yeah, he's a politician.
Well, he's directly involved in shifting the balance of power in politics and all that. But at the same time, his whole mantra in that episode and kind of his whole character is that he doesn't want to be a politician. True. That he's trying to avoid getting involved and having the power for himself.
He's been saying that for like the whole of TNG when he gets involved in the whole the Chancellor saga there with Kempek and Gowron and Duras. It's like, I don't want to get involved in the culture of my people. It's like, you are one of the most influential figures of your people.
Yeah, and like Robert Kaiser in chat says, what I love about that episode is Ezri asks Worf if he's ever known a honorable Klingon chancellor. Oof. And then she says to him, Worf, you're the most honorable Klingon, and no, if you won't do something about it, then what hope does the Empire have? And so, yeah, I definitely think hero is well earned.
Worf's finest.
It's a good episode.
Very good episode.
It's a great episode. And I gave him resourceful just because he has that great moment where his bat'leth breaks and he has to stab Gowron with the 2 pieces. Yeah. And that would obviously be his equip. I feel like that would be like one of your gold items.
Actually, wait, so I don't know if you'll remember. I should probably remember because I've seen it more recently. So he stabs him. Gowron falls over, and then he does the Klingon death roar. And I think while he's doing that, or right after, is when they rush up to him and put the cloak around him, like while he's still on one knee. So I would really love to see like him down on one knee with the cloak on, because I feel like that's way more evocative than just another Klingon stand. Because we already have Martok who's standing there with the robe. If he was like maybe kneeling over Gowron's corpse or something, that would really be something.
I completely agree. I think that'd be a really nice dynamic pose, especially if you got like a bit of lighting going on there. We love our special lighting here.
Dramatic, one-sided lighting.
Dramatic.
Are you guys ready to play a game? Are you guys in chat ready to play a game?
Let's do it.
Let's do this. So, if anyone remembers, back in the late 90s, a little game came out called Star Trek The Gameshow, which you can test your knowledge against your opponents in a battle of who knows the most Trek up to 1998. So, unfortunately, Enterprise fans, you will not get a shout out here. Guys, I have asked you both, I've certainly given you an assignment, I've asked you both to come up with a buzzer, because I'm going to be the controller here, so I shall not be participating. So this is going to be Auto versus Stars and Garters here. So please, if you could debut your buzzer to me, Stars.
So my buzzer is...
Okay, wonderful. Auto, your buzzer, please.
I'm just going to say buzz. I don't have anything.
Okay.
I don't remember this homework being assigned.
So, in order to do this, I have had to... hang on. There we go. I'm going to share my screen
Stars
now.
always has the cool trinkets and noises and stuff.
Find a version of Windows 95. So this is going to be fun. So let me boot up it.
So before we continue,
Go
do
on.
you think that people in Starfleet get like nostalgic about old versions of LCARs?
Oh, they've got to do.
Probably. Well, especially the engineers.
Like, man, LCARs 359, that was where the shit was at. I don't like 401 nearly as much.
So yeah, I've had to run this in a virtual machine just to get this even running, because this does not
Wait,
run in Windows 10.
Can we play Disk Defragmenter? Because that was really fun in '95.
I'll tell you what we can do. Hang on, if you want a bit of nostalgia here, hang on, where are we? There's only one sound on there because this is a bit of a sort of ad hoc bodge. But hang on, if we go this one, here you go. Listen, here you go.
The micros.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
So the sound is working for you guys. There we go. That's good. Right. Let's launch this thing. So this has a lot of John. The reason I wanted to showcase this, it has a lot of John Delancey in it as well. This is going to be a lot of fun. So let's boot up Star Trek The Game Show.
I noticed that it needs a CD. Have you got the CD?
I do have the CD. It is installed in the virtual drive.
Shh, it's starting.
Anyone chat, just let me know how the volume is.
Space, the final frontier. For centuries, the United Federation of Planets has explored the farthest reaches of the galaxy, seeking out...
Oh, we give it a rest. You know, he makes it sound like your quest for knowledge is significant. To you, maybe. To me, sticking your starships into other species' business is merely a quaint exercise in frivolity. But you know what? That's what I love about your species. Your ability, your desire to dwell on all matters trivial is the best thing that ever happened to me. Besides me, of course. You see, as long as you people stay out of trouble, and I'm talking about real trouble, not your cute little twubble with twibbles, then I can dedicate some quality time to someone worthy of my undivided attention. And I can't spend all that time with myself if I have to constantly clean up after your quests for knowledge. Remember, I have the fun. You suffer the consequences. That brings me as to why you're here. I've devised a devious little diversion and modeled it after the all-time classic 20th century game show. That little doozy spread like a virus around your planet and ended up making Earth the laughingstock of the galaxy. But enough about me and my stellar inventiveness. Let's talk about you and your lack of it. On second thought, it's time for the announcer to do some work.
Okay.
Right you are, your omnipotence. Okay, contestants, how many of you will be playing today?
It will be
Type
two of
1,
us.
2, or 3?
So there'll be two of you. So let's go 2.
I want to have a game
Player
show off
1,
with this guy.
What's yours?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, are you
Player
doing this voice or...
one, what's your character?
Okay. Also, do you want to be player 1 since you're at the top of the screen there? Who would you like to be? Human, Vulcan, Romulan, Cardassian, Cleon?
I'm going to be Kazan.
Kazan, okay.
Kazan Ogla. Who are the Kazan Ogla?
Type in your name.
What is your name?
I am
Yeah,
Kula.
Robert Kaiser points out, by the way, that the sound effect is missing from him snapping his fingers.
Sorry, what was
Didn't
your
have
name?
the budget for that, clearly.
Kula.
Color, okay.
Hey, Kazan, the Klingons want me to give you a message. Does nice try mean anything to you?
Excellent. Your buzzer
It's a little
is the
too
cue
meta.
key. Player two,
I feel like that
your
works.
turn.
Okay, Stars, who are you?
Let me go with the Vidian.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Now,
Ooh.
type in your name.
And your name?
Schweitzer.
Can you spell that?
SCHWEITZER.
Yeah. Wow.
Uh-oh, a Vidian. Hang on to your organs, everyone.
Fantastic. Your buzzer is the
So
P.
auto is
key.
Q, Stars is P. Here we go.
To quit the game at any time, hit the escape key.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
And now, live from the center of the galaxy, it's the only game show that proves we are not alone. Except for that guy with the ears in the third row. Welcome to Q's Trivia Trek. And now, your favorite host and mine. Please welcome Q.
Thank you, thank you. You're not kind enough, but it'll have to do. I'm thrilled to be here. Equally thrilled is my lovely partner. Now, as a matter of theory, she has powers equal to mine, but as a matter of fact, she has so much to learn before she can attain my level of me. So, please, let's give a similar but tastefully less enthusiastic welcome to Q.
Nice try, Q. How typical of you to forget how typical you are.
Much better.
All right, that's enough. Q, you look ravishing as always.
Why, thank you, Q. It's nice to be back. As usual, it is such an honor to assist you. You will, of course, remind me to appreciate this opportunity.
Of course, my dear. Right after I remind the Continuum that your training is still not complete.
Please. My choice of uniform should prove that I've at least matched your lack of humility.
Is that Amanda Rogers?
It's less a uniform than it is a cry for help. Enough chit-chat.
Are we sure Shia porn isn't in this at some
Welcome
point?
to the Alpha Quadrant. As you can see, I've gone to considerable lengths to provide an atmosphere that is, if not attractive, then...
Can we get her as a Timelines Originals?
Here we will ask you about famous and notable figures in Federation and Starfleet history. Now keep in mind, I have delved deeply into the lives of these people. Some of them even know me personally. So the questions not only deal with their official acts as Starfleet officers, but items from their personal logs as well.
You know,
You?
Making good use of my omnipotent powers, I will spin this wheel. After it stops on a category, a question will be read and displayed. Be the first to buzz your buzzer, then type in the letter corresponding to the answer you believe is correct. Here we go.
Okay.
you know we have TNG uniform
The category
Captain Q,
is
but we don't
medical
have Voyager
for 400 points.
Captain
Okay,
Q.
here we go.
When Spock begins to go through the stress of Ponfar, Nurse
Buzz.
Chapel prepares a traditional Vulcan dish for him.
Oh, I can't do it. You have to
What
wait
is
till
the
the
name
questions
of
pop
the
up.
dish? A. Macha Vana.
Okay, which one's the is it? A, B, C, D, or E?
It's C, Plomix
Ah.
soup.
Oh, you didn't have much time. Shit.
Much, do you?
The answer is
C.
Okay, say buzz
Plumix
and then say your
soup.
answer. Sorry.
I did.
The category is medical for 200 points.
Be long at all.
Leonard McCoy usually has something to say about almost anything.
Here we go.
Which of the following statements has Dr. McCoy not said? A. I'm a doctor,
Buzz.
not a bricklayer.
C, I am
Hallelujah.
doctor, not a soldier.
The answer is indeed...
C. I'm a doctor,
Come
not
on,
a
Stars, you
soldier.
playing or what?
I'm just kind of in
The
awe.
category is captain for 500 points.
Dr. McCoy gives Kirk a pair of spectacles for his birthday because
Okay.
Kirk is allergic
Alright,
to the
so
usual
that'll be
treatment
stars.
for
Retnax 5.
nearsightedness.
Alright.
What is the usual treatment for this condition in the 23rd century? A. Visalac
Okay,
PK.
that's
So
D.
deep.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's hear it for blind luck.
It's a Wrath of Khan question. How can I not know that?
D. Retinax 5.
Oh, I shouldn't have poked the bear.
Oh,
Oh,
Ooh, red alert.
Oh, goody!
Wait, how did you get
Level
500
question.
points for one
This is a
question?
little game I like
200
to call
for two.
Memories
What is
in
this?
motion. Watch the clip on the view screen. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Oh God.
Explain to them. Make them understand. But our mission is
Buzz?
to save Tin
It's from
Man.
Tin Man.
Player 2, this question is for
Okay, so
you.
this is for stars.
For 500 points,
What did Tam L. Brun want Data to do to them? A. Kill them. B. Make them understand. C. Ignore them. D. Advise them.
Much time.
I guess advise them?
It's B!
You don't
Lost
get
time.
out much, do you?
Oh, mate,
The
lost
answer
time.
I thought that was a
Indeed.
trick question because, like,
B.
what you did.
Make them
Am
understand.
I really just meant to tell you what it said in the clip? That seems too obvious.
Wait, what
The
are the
category
time
is
restrictions?
captain.
It's like
For
3
500
Seriously, it's
seconds.
not much, is it?
One of Benjamin Sisko's
Yeah.
old friends is assigned as the Starfleet attaché to the
Calvin
Federation
Hudson.
colonies in the demilitarized zone. He turns out to be a Maquis leader. What is this officer's name? A. Mike Smith.
Cal Hudson, isn't it?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm nearly
No, you said
impressed.
Calvin. That's incorrect.
The answer is indeed...
B. Cal Hudson.
Now. Don't get feisty.
The category is engineering. For 600
Okay.
points.
Geordie LaForge's mother, Silva LaForge,
Oh,
was
God.
a Starfleet captain at the time of her death. Which ship
stars.
did
The
she
USS
command?
Hera?
A. USS
D.
Threshold.
Oh.
Are they peeking at the answers?
The answer is indeed...
You did wake the bear.
D. USS Hera.
He's an expert on
category
Silva
is
trivia. Who
helm.
knew?
Yeah, clearly.
for 300 points,
I still have my copy.
Tobin, Torias, Curzon, Jadzia. All have been hosts to the Dax
I
symbiote.
believe he
But
was a
one host,
musician.
A murderer named
If that's
Joran,
the...
was repressed from the later host's memories. Name his profession. A. Poet.
So you're gonna go
So
with
E.
music.
Which one was the sculptor?
the answer is indeed
I feel like he was also a
E.
sculptor. He was, like, into
Musician.
all of the arts,
Oh,
wasn't
yeah?
he? I feel like he was.
I know
the
one of her
category
hosts
is
was a
miscellany.
sculptor.
For 200 points,
But there's
On
no
the planet
downtime in this
Agilum
game, is
Prime,
there?
Jake Sisko
There will be a
experiences the
Buzz.
horrors of war
Okay.
Buzz,
firsthand
Klingons.
as he
Oh.
helps Dr. Bashir
Yeah.
treat
No,
wounded
I got that.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Who
get
is
the
attacking
200 point
these
questions. He
colonists?
gets the 1900
A,
point
the Romulans.
questions.
Now.
Never cease.
It's fine, there's
the
plenty of
answer
time.
is indeed
C. The Klingons.
By the way, it's 3 to 3. It's not 400 and 1900. I don't know who
You
came
have
up with it.
performed adequately so far.
Looks like someone feels a bit threatened.
The only thing even remotely threatening in this room is what you call your hairdo. Let's move into the beta quadrant, shall we?
Okay. Yeah, no, that lack of the is... Oh, boy.
Welcome to the beta quadrant. Creepy, isn't it? You see, the universe, my universe, isn't just pretty starfield and picturesque nebulae. There's nastiness to the left of you and brutality to the right of you. You could say I have a knack for chaos.
Yeah, a knack. And you have such a dark side. It is so intimidating. Whatever will you inflict on the universe next?
Hugh, as I've said, you can leave when I say so. And speaking of me, there are plenty of other warm, wonderful, cuddly encounters in the universe. Let's see what's out there.
Why do they need a co-host for this?
Yeah, I
Expanding
don't
to
feel like
the
it's
fullest
necessary.
my extra dimensionality, I will push these buttons one by one. Each button reveals a clue and makes the
Vanna
picture on the
White.
static-filled view screen a little clearer. Based on the clues, the view screen, and the category shown above, your job is to identify the encounter. When you know the answer, hit your buzzer, type in the name, and hit enter.
What?
She means if you know the answer. And when you get it wrong, my dear Q will push the next button, and I will kindly grant another clue for the same encounter.
Kinder, gentler cue. Somebody pinch me. If your answer is correct...
She's
then
not
you
a great actress, I gotta say.
Enough hand-holding already. Let's go.
Okay, so this will be a buzz.
Category is alien individual.
Clue number 1. He's from Tau Alpha C.
Buzz.
It's the Traveler.
Player 2.
It's the Traveller.
Let's see what you're made of.
That was an easy
Wow.
one. The answer
Got
is
there just in
indeed
time.
The Traveler.
The
They really
category
don't
is
give you a lot of time to get these in.
Clue number 1. He served on the bridge
Okay,
of the Enterprise
no.
E.
Have to wait for it.
Clue number 2. He left on a mission.
Stop.
Sean
Damn.
Hawk.
Player 2.
I want to say
I'm
that's
waiting.
Lieutenant Hawk.
Sean Hawk.
You can say
Yeah.
Sean Hawk.
That's the wrong spelling for his
Clue
name,
number
but
3.
Oh shit!
He
All right.
died in zero
Buzz.
gravity.
Okay. Auto go on.
Player 1.
I don't know, just put
Type
Hawk.
away.
Will they accept Hawk?
There you go. You got it.
The answer is indeed.
I was going to say that with the first. I'm like,
The category
the only
is
person who's not main
hardware.
cast who was on there would
Clue
have been
number
Hawk.
1.
So
It once met a probe named Tonru. Clue number 2.
Buzz.
It wiped out.
Go on.
No, you got it. You got it.
Oh, this ought to be good.
that was my
Let's hear
guess.
it for
That
blind luck.
Tonru sounded very
The
TOS.
answer is
So
indeed Nomad.
The category is alien species.
Clue number 1. Ships entering their space generally
That
don't
does not
return.
narrow it down at all.
Clue number 2. One
Hey.
may or may not have been on board Voyager.
Oh,
I
Darwin.
know that. I don't remember what they're called.
Oh.
What the fuck?
Clue number
I know
3.
the episode.
Hess managed to block their efforts.
Again, this is like about 6
I
or
don't
7
know their
different
name.
episodes.
Yeah, no, these are all
Number
Voyager
4.
plots.
They use psionic energy fields.
Oh,
questions on stun.
Botham?
Player 2.
Botham.
Shot.
Bothan.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I'm nearly
Yay,
impressed.
well done.
The
Okay.
answer is indeed
Damn.
the Bothan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
The
all of
category is
those 3 plot points are all Voyager episodes.
Clue number 1. He really, really wanted Spock to beam down. Clue number 2. He didn't want to steal Kirk's body, just borrow it for a while.
Why don't you demo the buzzers for them?
Buzz.
Go on.
Player 1.
Is it
What's your
Sargon?
How do you spell it?
Sargon.
Are they peeking at the answers?
Hey. Well done.
Oh,
The
there you
answer
go.
is indeed
That's TOS, I obviously I wouldn't get it.
Sargon.
The category is thing. Clue number 1. There are 9 of them in total.
That does not help.
7?
Clue number 2. Most of them were found in the Denarius belt.
Oh,
Maybe they were waiting.
Player 2.
orbs.
This I gotta see.
Bajoran orbs.
Going
Okay, orbs works.
on them.
Yeah.
The answer is indeed.
They said Denorius belt, and I remember.
Yeah, that kind of clued me as well.
Whoa! If I weren't perfect, I'd actually consider these scores impressive.
Qbert. If you're perfect,
Qbert.
I am an undulating space amoeba.
Well, I suppose it's time you knew who your true parents were. Let's move into the Gamma Quadrant, shall we?
That is Amanda. That's Amanda Rogers.
I was gonna say, where's Susie Plaxton? Like, there are many female Q you could have bring in here. Like, Christ.
This is before Susie Plaxton, actually.
Ah! Isn't
I don't think
the
it was.
Gamma Quadrant pleasant? What
Oh,
a
no, maybe not.
contrast to that scary, foreboding place we just left. Am I right? Nothing bad ever happens here. No sirree.
Yeah, no, just
And
ask
if
the
you
crew of
believe
the
that,
Odyssey, you
I
fuck.
have a nice bridge to sell you.
Bridge.
All right,
get it.
come on.
Yes, well, not often enough. Oh, the bridge. The command center, where most of the tough
Dude,
decisions are made.
I don't
Bluffs,
think you can just be
face-offs,
a-
duels, sacrifices, you name it. A mission without trouble is like a day without me. Dreadfully unexciting.
I'm willing to test that comparison right now.
Right now. Oh, yes. Right now. That's the key to every command decision. He or
Pad
she
out the
who
playtime,
hesitates is
guys.
lost.
Yeah.
Or in my universe, vaporized.
Dude, Q's a
Oh,
giant
sure,
prick in
I've
this.
tested many a captain many
Yes,
times
such a
over, but
chauvinist.
lucky you, now it's your turn. So, let's have some fun, shall we?
Demonstrating my grasp of repetitive motion skills.
Is there a skip
I
button
will
or
pull this
something?
lever. When a
you have to
category is
listen to it.
selected, a question will be assigned
If we
to a
play this
player.
again, I'll,
If
another
you
time,
are that
I'll skip
player,
it.
you'll have several choices. You can answer it correctly and add the points to
So
your
I think
score.
this takes
You
some
can
time.
answer it incorrectly and watch the points get subtracted from your score. Or you can forfeit the question to your opponents if you have any and lose nothing.
Wait, so
Except
this
your
is,
self-respect.
goes to one of us, the
If
question?
one of your opponents chooses to answer the question you wimped out on, the risk is transferred to them. If they answer correctly, they add the points displayed. But if they answer incorrectly, they lose double the amount displayed. So no one get too anxious or cocky. Any halfway intelligent captain would tell you the same.
So we don't have to
forfeit a
buzz for this,
question,
do
let
we?
the timer run out.
If-
Just
yeah,
remember
no, you
you
don't.
don't
It
get
takes some
a
turns.
replacement question. In a
You do have
three-player
to be
game,
fairly
each
timely with
contestant
it.
gets 2 questions. In a 2-player game, each contestant gets 3 questions.
Robert Kaiser,
In a
he's
one-player
like a
game,
jerk
the
sometimes,
contestant
but he's
gets
like
all 6
a
questions.
Ajahn prick in this
I'm
one.
going to
so-
forfeit my patience if we don't begin soon. Let's do it.
Okay.
Player 1, this question is for you. For 500 points,
Data briefly commands a starship during the Klingon Civil War, helping to put up a tachyon net which the Romulans try to get through. What does Data use to reveal the cloaked Romulan vessels? A. Phaser beams. B. A spray of gamma particles. C. Level 6 photon torpedoes. D. A tunneling neutrino burst.
Indeed.
Maybe you should try sports.
Level 6 photon
the
torpedoes.
answer is
Level
C.
6, what is
Level
that?
6 photon torpedoes.
Because I remember when he's shouting at the guy, "Fire!"
Player 2, this question
So
is for you. For 700 points,
On Earth in the year 1930, Kirk must allow Edith Keeler to die.
Well, you get
If he
multiple
does not,
choice, so don't
what will
worry.
she
Yeah,
do
so I
that
have to
all
see what the
false
phrasing is
history?
here.
A. She will prevent Franklin Roosevelt from being elected. B. She will give important information to the Germans during World War II.
It's
C.
D.
She will divert
D, yeah.
funding from...
Will miracles never cease?
I was like, is it C? Did she really steal money from the war effort to give it to the mission? But no.
She will convince Roosevelt to delay involving the United States in World War II.
Player number 1, this question is for
400
you.
points. What is this? Come on.
400 points.
To save the
Oh, you should know
Enterprise from
this.
destruction by a First Federation vessel, Captain Kirk uses a strategy from an Earth game. What is the name of this game? A. Chess. B. Poker.
Fizbin. It's Fizbin.
Poker.
Poker?
D. Blackjack.
Sure.
That was an easy
Congratulations.
one.
I actually thought that was chess.
The answer is indeed
The Corbomite
bluffs.
maneuver.
Poker.
Yeah.
You're
Player
going to get a
2,
1,000
this
point
question is
question,
for
I
you.
know it.
for 500 points,
Ducat plans to kill his half-bejoined daughter
Well, I know
Zial
what she
to hide
does.
his indiscretion. How does Kira react to this?
She's overjoyed.
A. She threatens to expose his indiscretion herself. B. She offers to take Zial to Deep Space Nine with her.
She does many of
C.
these
She
things.
threatens to kill Ducat.
Big one.
D. She poses
pass
it,
arms
pass it.
around Zial to protect her.
C. I'm gonna go with C.
the
Yeah.
answer is
Yeah, 'cause she-
It's right.
She does
It's right
beat
before
after.
commercial
C.
break. She's
She
like,
threatens to
Ducat, I'm
kill
gonna
Ducat.
kill you.
That's where the art for bringing Kira comes from. Yeah.
Player 1, this question is for you.
Why do I get the 3-point
400
questions?
points.
What is it?
Cybok
I'm not gonna
helps
get it
to
right
ease
anyway,
what he
but-
thinks are the pains of McCoy and Spock. For McCoy,
Well,
his
this
pain
is
the
a
death
weird
of his
one.
father. For Spock, it is his half-human side.
Dude.
What is Kirk's personal
Final
pain?
Frontier,
A,
come
the
on.
death of his brother. B, the destruction of the original Enterprise. C, the loss of his one true love. D, Cybok never
You can
discovers
pass
what
it to
Kirk's
stars
personal pain
and
is.
lose nothing.
Yeah, but he knows his movies, so I'll guess D. I don't know.
I bet you have an escape pod all picked out. Time's up.
D.
Anybody else care
I
to
just
try?
pressed it as he said it. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Stars?
I know.
Oh.
Yeah, it's D. It's D.
Please.
No, missed it.
Don't shout out the answers. You might wake
what
up.
is this 2-second time?
I know, it's terrible, isn't
Yeah,
it?
no, you better have your fucking mitt was in the button. Christ.
Cybok never discovers what Kirk's personal pain is.
I think they say in the script that it would have been the death of David.
Player 2, this question is for you.
Yeah, suck it. 400
For
points.
400 points.
Voyager discovers a
This
Cardassian-designed
is an easy
missile
one.
bound to
Come
the
on.
planet Rakosa. What is the name of the former Maquis Voyager crew member who originally programmed it to attack
That narrows it down.
Cardassians? A. Seska. B. Taurus. C. Chakotay. D. Jonas.
Stars.
B.
Yes, well,
Oh, I just hit it in
why am I
time,
not
sorry.
surprised?
Yes, B! Give it to me.
Anybody
Beep,
else
beep, beep,
care
beep,
to
beep, beep,
try?
beep, 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 beep.
I'm pressing B. Why isn't it working?
Oh,
I was
it's
pressing
B.
B.
A few
fuck?
dilithium crystals short of a warp core, isn't he?
Well, this is fair.
The answer is
No one can win.
B.
I swear to God I
Taurus.
pressed that. Alright.
Weird.
Those are some fairly
Flawless.
decent
All right.
point
I want
values.
400 points.
Alright.
Whoa,
Spiritually
are you saying
hold.
you're
Yeah, sure, it'll make a big difference. Yeah.
Very much so. Your gullibility level astounds even me. Delta Quadrant is waiting. Let's go.
Okay, so Delta Quadrant changes every time you do a different round, so I don't know what this is.
Okay.
You know the rules, huh?
Welcome to the Delta Quadrant. Don't worry. I probably won't leave you stranded, but if I do, no hard feelings. I mean,
Can you
how can I
see the
blame you
little
for your
blue
inability to
boxes
pay
around the
attention?
FMVs for Q and
Heaven
the
forbid they
Q?
take their
Just
eyes
about,
off
yeah, you see
for
when they
one
pause, they're like-
second.
Yeah.
She's so cute when she gets tired. Now listen
Like that's
carefully.
the obvious green screen they
I've
put
created
in.
a special challenge based on each of the 5 Starfleet eras that you saw in the beginning. But you only get one of those challenges per game. Hey, if you're curious about the others, you'll have to keep playing until you
That's how they get
experience
ya.
all of them. And yes, I'll be your host each
Oh, I can
and
see the blue box
every
now, yeah.
time.
Yeah, no, you see that?
Anything to be the center of attention over and over and over.
Over. Oh,
Thank God.
I don't need her anymore. I know. I'm a pig.
Yeah, no, they really dialed up these misogynistic here.
That
Like,
wonderful little wagon wheel that ignorantly believes it's guarding the galaxy from what's behind the wormhole. What is behind the wormhole, you ask? Well, that's for me to know and you to figure out. I'll show you aliens, ships, and other goodies. You hit your buzzer and then type T for true, been through the wormhole, or F for false, definitely not been through the wormhole. For
Delta Quadrant, and yet it's
1,000
a
points.
DS9 question.
Buzz.
True.
You are
That was
correct
for auto. That's first.
for 1,000
Oh, did it?
points.
Okay, fair enough.
Buzz.
Yeah, auto.
False.
A right answer for 1,000 points.
Buzz.
Yeah.
False.
A correct answer
Oh, he's catching up.
for 1,000
Well, because he can say anything, I have to press a
Buzz.
button.
False.
You are right.
You have performed respectably.
The
And I
comeback.
hate respectable. It's so dull. Next time, cheat. That should spice things up a bit.
Dude, Stars is seriously pissed right now.
Congratulations, player 1. You have a
Oh, high score as well. Look at that.
Congratulations, player 2.
Oh wait,
You
no, that was
have
the
a
first one.
high score.
Oh, there you go. That was Star Trek: The Game Show. So the last time I played this, you can see there's a Stars and Auto there. I was testing out earlier today, and when I was doing so, the Delta Quadrant was basically Hangman, but with a Borg, and every letter you got correct took an implant off the Borg and made him more human. And then if you got the complete word, it was just a man in his pants.
What?
Seriously. Oh, it's a bizarre game. That was fun. That was fun when it was working. Anyway, I don't know why it wasn't working on the beta quadrant. Stars, you're pissed, aren't you?
A little bit.
Did I do what? Did I cheat?
Well, no, I was at a disadvantage because I had to press my button rather than you say buzz, buzz, buzz. Like, come on. But it doesn't really matter. It's a stupid made-up game.
It's a very stupid game.
He's
I just
gonna
had to show.
freeze me out.
Listen, like, you know, Auto had his bad luck in the first round, you had your bad luck in the last rounds. Well, yeah, anyway, that was
It is
fun.
what it is. What it is.
It's some 1998 crap, but I had to show it just for the John Delancey chauvinism was so bad. Especially the line, like, yeah, not enough.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised that a franchise like Star Trek let that get through with such a really I don't know if I want to call it off-brand, but just like that was just like raw.
That interplay license.
Is this freeware by now? Though?
You can get it on I think it's myabandonware.com, and I found it. You have to do some trickery, load up a Windows 95 VM. I got what's the piece of program I got? It's called WinCDMU or something like that. You can find tutorials for it on the internet. So if you want to run it yourself, it's out there. It's good fun.
Well, let's put a link to the Abandonware site in the description. Then
I don't know if it's entirely legal, but it's literally the only place you can get it. It's not available on CD anyway. So
I'm pretty sure because it's been delisted, there's no legal way for them to get out because they're taking away sales from this game we don't sell anymore.
Yeah, if it turns up on GOG, I'll give him the good old games link. Anything like that, then fine. Because you can get Star Trek 25th Anniversary and no, I don't think you can get Final Unity. The Judgment Rights is the other one. You can get those on GOG.com as well. But yeah, we'll probably go through some of those at some point.
Garrick was calling for Final Unity earlier, so
yeah. Well, Final Unity is so good, so hard as well.
If you can find it.
I have run it before, so we will do it. But that's a good time to call it. That was. I'm going to say that was fun. Stars doesn't agree, but
he's never going to talk to me again.
Is this a game show? I'm not that pissed.
From myself, from Auto from the Stars. We'll see you next time. Ta-ra.
You're not going to see me next week. He's going to kill me.
Go back to that old joke you had where you were planting bombs in his house but let his wife out.
What was the context of that?
I cannot remember.
My computer kept crashing. I kept blue screening.
No, there was something you did. I know what it was.
Put up a bomb in my house.
You had Stars' account and you were pulling dilithium with it.
Right. Okay.
It was our bit, wasn't it?
No, that never happened.
Of course it didn't. Anyway, from us, we will see you next time. Ta-ra.